What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new video. This is the first time I've filmed in quite a number of weeks. Yeah, been a fair bit going on. Just quickly, I suppose, we'll run through a few things. How cool is this? 105. We did full new alloy radiator, full new PDI intercooler setup, new condenser, try and keep this thing nice and cool. So full front mount cooler setup and everything. This is, yeah, did heaps to this thing. New catch can, didn't film any of it, but haven't been filming much. Yeah, lots of tuning. There's been a lot going on, just haven't been tuning. I haven't been filming and I haven't really been here a lot. So anyway, moving on to what this video is about. You might recognize this, beauty black ute. So here is our VY ute that we did a cam kit on a couple of months ago. It got a set of hand ported 243s, a Crow Cams 1250, and it made some awesome numbers. So I think it made 421 or something, or somewhere around 420. And the plan was always to spray this thing. It was always meant to be nitrous. And at the time, the owner, while we were doing the cam kit, had a bit of a situation where his work car, or his regular daily driver, had an issue and he needed the car back in a hurry. So we sort of wrapped up the cam kit, just got it tuned, aspirated, and then sent it out the door. But the plan was always for this thing to be sprayed. So anyway, it's back here so that we can finish that off. So that's what we're up to at the moment. So we've also got the two gauge pods, or areas for gauges, up in the center console there, which were always meant to get gauges, but again, we didn't really get time the last time. So what we're going to be using is a 2-in-1 water temp oil pressure gauge. So that's going to tell us water temp and oil pressure in one gauge, which is really handy. And on the other side is going to be a Innovate MTXL wideband. And the wideband is quite important to how we're doing this nitrous setup. So for starters, I'm here trying to figure out how we're going to set up our purge solenoid and our regular solenoid and where we're going to actually spray. So in the little boot from the OTR to the throttle body is a little alloy boot. So the plan is to put the actual nozzle into that and spray it directly into the front of the throttle body here, which is going to be perfectly fine for our dry shot. It's going to be awesome. So what I wanted to do was set up the purge solenoid up under the radiator support brace here, so that I could hopefully, I want to purge it so that it comes out of the lion's mouth on this grill. So I would like for it to purge out of here. I reckon that'd be really cool. So that's the way I want to try and set up the purge, and try and sort of hide the solenoids up underneath this bar. Hey? Sneaky.
I am very sneaky, sir.
Hell yeah. That's purge valve there, purge solenoid. And yeah, out through the lion's nose. Or mouth, I should say. But that should look sick. Haha. Sick one, and then you won't be able to see it like this from up here because the OTR goes in there and hides it all, so. But no, that should be sick. Anyway, this is where our main solenoid's gonna be, up here, tucked under away from the battery. That's our pressure sensor for our nitrous pressure. So, this is our box that we've got sorted. As you can see, Rex has got the bottle brackets in there, but this box perfectly houses our little 10-pound bottle really nicely. So, righto, boys and girls, cracking along with this. So, the nitrous line has been run. I will give you a look underneath the car and you can see if you can see it, but I guarantee you will not be able to see it because it's very sneakily hidden.
I am very sneaky, sir.
So anyway, we've got our AN4 braid line all run up to the front of the car where it needs to be run to. Rex found that some 10mm rubber line fits perfectly over the top of AN4 braid, which obviously makes lines very nice and discreet. So same thing up in the engine bay where it runs through the engine bay. It's just, for all intents and purposes, a rubber line. It doesn't look like braid. You can't even see that it's braid. Very discreet. Sneaky.
That's where it comes out down the back there. Like that's it. You wouldn't believe it, but
yeah,
that's the line. Runs under the battery tray, runs under the headlight, and then that'll be it once we terminate it. Stick up in there and
yeah. And yeah, like we talked about, penetration in the hatch over the cover for the tank, and also penetrations in the tub liner. And then the box just obviously bolts down, and then yeah, nitrous bottle is in the box. All the penetrations are straight down through the bottom of the box. And for all intents and purposes, it's just a toolbox in the back of a work ute, and it's locked. And if anyone asks, the key is somewhere else. Don't know where the key is.
box is like second hand too, so like looks like it is a toolbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah, rough it up a bit.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, it probably is a good thing we ended up finding a box that we already had that's the right size that is secondhand instead of having a brand new one.
So the brackets are bolted to the box, so they just stay with it. And like Max said, there's just the 4 bolts that go through the box into the floor, so that it's real quick and easy to get out. They're nut-inserted into the hatch, so it takes like 30 seconds to get the box out and the bottle out. So
easy, mate.
yeah, it took a surprising amount of thought though, I will say, and measurements, because you've got the tub liner that's got all the corrugations in it. Then underneath it, you've got this that has all of these corrugations in it. And then the bottom side is not flat either, and there's double skins. So it might look like it happened by happenstance, but all the nut certs ended up on the flat bit, and they all go through a valley on the tub liner instead of the top, and that's not an accident. That took quite a lot of thinking, to be honest. Yeah, there's a lot of measuring, putting the tub liner in, take it out, put the hatch in, take that out, to find a spot that everything was happy with. So then all these penetrations had to make sure that they were past the end of the fuel tank there as well. So they're not an accident either. So yeah, just saying, it was not. There's more thought that goes into this than you realise. Currently, this bottle's empty. Don't know if we talked to you guys about it, but we got the bottle filled, right? Hoff there filled the bottle for us. Big thanks to Hoff. And obviously, we were meant to do this whole setup the first time that you came here, but that didn't happen due to other circumstances that were, owner's circumstances. They ended up going back to him before we could finish this. So that's why it's back here, so we can finish it. But this used to sit up on top of the racking up next to like our little desk area there. And it gets the sun in the morning, and I think it probably just one morning it just had a bit of sun and a bit of heat, and then enough heat got into this bottle that the pressure disc, the pressure relief, blew out for the blowdown. And no one else was here. Dad was here, and he just had this huge big bang, and the bottle just pushed out the pressure disc. So just dumped its guts.
Dumped it out. So we've got to put a new one in, and I'll probably take that to get filled.
Casual few $100 worth of gas that just got completely fucking wasted.
Anyway, and yeah, the way that we are planning to control this is very, very clever as well, and it should be completely automated, and essentially you don't have to do anything except for arm it when you want to use it and disarm it when you're finished using it and fill the bottle when it's empty. That is pretty much all you have to do with this whole setup. It's not only super discreet, but very well thought out and very well controlled. But I will go through that with you guys when we're a bit closer to finishing, and it's a bit easier to show you and so you can visualize what's going on and how we've set it up. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really cool setup. I'm actually been really looking forward to this for like a year. So it is really cool because this thing did make really good power. Manual, aspirated LS1, hand-ported 243s. We ended up at 419 or something wheel horsepower, so just under 420 wheel horsepower, which for an aspirated stock bottom end 5.7 LS1 on 98 is quite staunch. That's a really good number. But it is going to be pretty funny with this thing having this gas on it because we should be, pretty much the 500 to 520 wheel is about where we expect to end up. So, 500 wheel horsepower. But, when you blow the doors off something and go and park up, while anyone else is concerned, looking around, it's just going to be an aspirated LS1. It's sort of, I like it because it's sort of like our shop ute where it's real sneaky and it's really sort of hard to pick. And that sort of stuff that I enjoy. Rightio guys, I've been out and about all day, but I just got back and Rex has been hard out going on this ute for quite a while now. This is taking a lot longer than we had anticipated, but the extra effort is going to be worth it all in the end with how well everything's going to be hidden and how cool the setup is. So first things first, you can see in the back here, work ute in the back. What's all this then? Oh, sneaky. Look at that. That stays locked. If anyone ever asks, the key has been lost. I don't have the key on me, officer. It's just full of tools. It's my work ute. And all in the engine bay and stuff, and underneath the car's all really well hidden. I'll show you that a bit later. But so Rex has been working in here. Oh, if you sit down in here, we've got up here finally mounted up here. We've got our combination oil pressure and water temp, so we can keep an eye on that, and our Innovate AFR wideband. So originally I was going to wire the 5-volt output on the wideband to our ECU that's going to control the nitrous system so that we could set up some safeties for if it leans out. But The problem is that the 0 to 5 volt output on the wideband is serial, so it's not super fast. Generally, I feel like by the time the ECU sees it and does what it's got to do, it's probably going to be too late by then. I feel like the damage will have already been done. But not only that is that obviously wideband sensors don't last forever. And you know, being that they're under the car, once a sensor goes, it can be a real pain. It can take a while to actually get around to fixing the sensor or putting a new one in. And we didn't want the whole system to be down when that happens, when the sensor fails. So, and it is a matter of when, not if. They do. There is a lifetime for these sensors. They only work for a certain amount of time. So what we decided to do is actually buy a fuel pressure sensor instead, which will wire directly to the ECU. That way it's got actual fuel pressure safeties instead of just lean out safeties on the wideband. It's a much faster, quicker way that is going to save it in the event of an issue with fuel pressure. But anyway, regardless, the wideband is still in the car so that we can still keep an eye on it. He can still see what's going on, and he can still see if there's an issue. So apart from that, we've got an amber light, a red light, and a blue light. So the blue light is for the system being armed. You know, once it's armed, the blue light comes on. The amber light is for the bottle warmer, so it's going to tell him whether the bottle warmer's on or not. And the red light is going to be if the pressure is not coming up, or you know, when the pressure's not up. So if the red light comes on and the amber light comes on and the red light goes off, well then you know, you sort of, you know, the bottle warmer heating up the nitrous is getting it up to pressure. But if you get to the point where the amber light and the red light are on at the same time, well then you know that you're starting to get pretty much out of nitrous and you need to work on getting that bottle refilled. So that's how he's going to know that he needs to refill the bottle. And apart from that, and just arming the system and turning the system off, that's all he's ever got to do, is get the bottle refilled when it's empty. And that's how he's going to know. So apart from that, there is going to be a rocker switch in the center console, which will be to arm the system, and it's going to have a cover on it so that nothing can accidentally switch system on in there. And then the purge switch we're thinking about hiding down in here somewhere that's out of sight so that you can just reach down and purge the system. So that's pretty much essentially how it's going to look. Everything's out, mounted. And as you can see, it's all quite discreet, quite nice, and all very nice and hidden. So figuring out all the wiring for our Max ECU Mini has been a bit of a headache, but obviously having it all sorted out now, we know for next time. But the biggest thing's just been trying to figure out how to wire it all in ways that we don't use up any inputs that we don't need to, which we have worked out. I won't go through it because it's probably just mostly pretty boring stuff for most people watching, but you know, we definitely know for next time exactly how to set one of these systems up so that we use minimal inputs and we can have as many sensors as we can possibly put in there to protect his system from a failure in the event of you know, nitrous being on. You don't want nitrous on if it's got no fuel pressure, etc. And lean outs and things like that. So it's going to be a pretty sick little system. And when you consider the price of one of these Max ECU Minis versus a nitrous controller that it is capable of, has its own internal window switch and everything else, the price difference isn't really that big. Not to mention that it's really hard to get a lot of those nitrous controllers in Australia at the moment, where these ECUs are pretty readily available and they can do everything that nitrous controller can do and more, and it's all completely automated, self-contained in its own little unit. So pretty sick. So another thing that we have decided was originally we were going to set this up so that when you arm the system, it ran through a relay for the IAT sensor, similar to what we've done with the spill button in the yellow shop ute, and basically try and use that to tune the timing and fuel but with the nitrous once the system's armed. But what we've decided to do instead is going to be a bit nicer, a bit more accurate, is we're actually going to use EFI Live and use the actual nitrous features in EFI Live to tune it. So it's one of the huge things with EFI Live versus HP tuners. We much rather use HP tuners to tune, or Rex, I shouldn't say we, because I don't really friggin' tune HP tuners at all, but Rex rather use HP tuners to tune, but EFI Live, for this specific reason of nitrous and having all of the nitrous features, is much better for this particular application. So,
well, HP's what Shane used, which is what he taught us to use, which is why we ended up with it. But there is actually a few reasons that EFI Live is arguably better for tuning, especially these Gen 3s. Not sure about the Gen 4, but there is a few reasons, especially if you're boosted or nitrous.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm saying or try and tell you what one's better, because I don't really tune either of them. For this one, because of the nitrous and because of all the features in EFI Live for nitrous, we're just going to use it. It's just going to be more accurate and better than what, you know, essentially ghetto rigging the system to work with HP.
And it just so happens we are going to tune it with, this is kind of hard to explain. We're going to tune it with HP tuners, but it's going to be an EFI Live OS. So we actually have an EFI Live ECU that came out of another car that we just swapped for one of our HP, or I think it was just a stock one. We tuned that with HP, but HP tuners can actually read EFI Live and edit files. You just can't change the OS. But the operating system is already speed density, so all I have to do is pull a file off, basically copy over this tune, all of the tables that I can.
One bar?
Yeah, one bar.
Sweet.
And then you don't even have to change your OS. You can just tell it what pin 56 actually does, because you can use it for flex. It's what we run the flex fuel sensors and stuff too.
Yep.
But in the software, you just tell it that pin 56 is for nitrous, and then you just edit the nitrous tables, and away you go.
Yeah. That easy.
Easy, mate.
Do it yourself in the shed.
Easy.
So this was the final result, 518 at the wheels. As you can see, climbing up on the rolls hard and squatting hard. You can see it in the videos, but settled for the rest of the run, 518. Yeah, it's gonna be a handful. It's gonna be wild, and you can hear the pitch change like really clearly. It sounds wild. It's sick. So